You know, when you think about the Grand Ole Opry, you think about country music. When you think about country music, you think about Nashville, Tennessee. But today, we are going to visit the grave of the founder of the Grand Ole Opry. Now, he actually retired to Virginia Beach, Virginia, and as such, he was buried in Norfolk, Virginia. So today, we are going to Forest Lawn Cemetery in Norfolk, Virginia to visit the grave of the old solemn judge, George Dewey Hay. Our journey through Virginia continues as we make a stop in Forest Lawn Cemetery in Norfolk, Virginia. We do have other famous grave videos from this location that will be on the way. Today we take a look at the life of George D. Hay, founder of the Grand Ole Opry. Born November 9th, 1895 in Attica, Indiana, he became a reporter in Memphis after World War I. He became very popular, very quick really, and he went on to Chicago where he served as an announcer on a program that would eventually become known as the National Barn Dance. I'm not sure, but I would say probably in his mind he already had an idea or a fondness for this type of entertainment, this type of music. And on Hay's 30th birthday in 1925, he actually moved on to WSM in Nashville, and if that sounds familiar, very good reason. That is where it all started. He announced that WSM would host what he would call an hour or two of old-time music every Saturday night. The show was originally the WSM Barn Dance, which, I find it kind of funny that he hosted the National Barn Dance in Chicago, but this would originally be known as the WSM Barn Dance, and he would refer to himself as the solemn old judge, which I'm not real sure where that nickname came from. It seems to be a moniker that he just came up with himself, but I find it very interesting. I like it. I like the charm in it, being known as the solemn old judge. And after a performance by the harmonica wizard DeFord Bailey, Hay would announce, "For the past hour we have been listening to music taken largely from Grand Opera. From now on, we will present the Grand Ole Opry." So I don't know if this was something that was a grand idea of his all along. Some of his history and his career definitely would point to that, or if it's just something that happened once he got to Nashville. But George Dewey Hay, the man who created and founded the Grand Ole Opry, makes me wonder if that term Grand Ole Opry was something that he just used on a whim, or if it was actually something that he had thought of before he actually made the announcement. But he has a fascinating life and a fascinating story, and I'm glad to be able to visit his grave today. And I am so glad to be able to be here in Forest Lawn Cemetery today in Norfolk, Virginia. Never been here to cemeteries, so I am so glad to be able to make my way, and glad to be able to, in this cemetery, I do have more visits coming from here. There are several other graves in this cemetery that we're going to be taking a look at, but today it's an honor to be visiting the old solemn judge, George Dewey Hay. I also wanted to take the time to show you some of the sights here in Forest Lawn Cemetery, give you an idea of the general layout of the cemetery. Now, a little bit different from the cemeteries that I'm used to visiting here in Kentucky. Very flat here, and the places I go generally have a lot of hills surrounding them. A lot of times they're on top of a hill, but this is still very beautiful, a lot of trees, very peaceful place. Glad to be able to make my way here to Forest Lawn in Norfolk, Virginia. More great visits and stories coming your way from this cemetery. In 1945, George Hay wrote a book entitled A Story of the Grand Ole Opry, and he became editor of Nashville's Pickin' and Singing News in 1953. Now, his love of music and broadcasting was something that he was actually able to parlay into a career, and you can just tell that he did something that he loved to do. So I always love being able to find stories like that, and as such, Mr. Hay was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1966. So it's amazing. I didn't see anywhere where Mr. Hay had ever sang or performed or anything like that, but his love and his devotion, his talent as a broadcaster and promoter landed him into the Country Music Hall of Fame. So That is just a great story in and of itself. George Hay passed away in Virginia Beach. He moved to Virginia Beach. He retired there. He passed away in Virginia Beach in 1968. Could not find a cause of death of Mr. George Hay, but we want to remember his legacy in creating and founding a show that still lives today. You can still go to Nashville. You can listen to the Grand Ole Opry. You can go watch the stage show of the Grand Ole Opry. Still lives today. So Mr. Hay, we salute you. Thank you all for watching. I have got more exciting trips on the way. I'm actually planning a trip to Michigan. Hope to do some filming there. More coming from Norfolk, Virginia, and more from Richmond, Virginia at the Hollywood Cemetery as well, the last video that we did. But for today, thank you all again for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check my links in the description where you can find me. From Forest Lawn Cemetery in Norfolk, Virginia, I will see you again soon.